All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the NBA playoffs. It's Thursday, April 24th. We have 3 playoff games to dive into in today's video, like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every game, so all 3 of these. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'm going to give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like in the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of how we made out last night, Wednesday night, we go 1-1. Our same game parlay with the Celtics money line and the over with an alternate over there, that comes through. But Amen Thompson, realistically, not the best look. 21.5 is the number we picked for his points plus rebounds, 4 plus 100, and he didn't even come close to I think he only had half of that. So I think we're owed a little bit of a womp there. That may be something we look to, later on in the series if it goes that far type of thing, but I don't know if we go right back to that next game. It did not look like what I thought it would look like in terms of taking him in a sense, if that makes sense. So a 1-1 night yesterday. Let's hopefully do a little bit better today. I do like some of our looks. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Now that I'm looking at the graphic, it is a little out of order, so we will start with Memphis and OKC. That's the second game of the night. But you know what? It is what it is. Let's go ahead and dive into it. We got Memphis taking on OKC. So OKC, it's been all them all the time for this series so far, right? Now, those 2 games were in OKC. It's worth noting, but they win 130-80, and then they win by 19 in their next one, 118-99. Now, Memphis is a team that, I think will kind of thrive and feel the environment being at home. I do think that gives them a little bit more of a boost, and that shouldn't be breaking any news to anybody, right? Even at home this year, they were 27-15. They're a really good cover team on the road, but they're just 22-22 on the road. So the fact that they're that much better at home kind of says a lot about them, right? So I do think, and maybe I can sound the cycle alert alarm here, I do like the idea of Memphis plus the points today, but it's going to come down to just how good is this OKC team. We know that they are absolutely phenomenal, right? But are they that good where they're not even going to get tested once in a series? And if you were to get tested, it would be after kicking someone's ass twice, and then you go into their house and try and do it one more time, right? This would be the game where Memphis stands up for themselves and says, no. Even if it's the one game Memphis wins or competes in, this would be the spot. So I'm going to lean Memphis. I think there's a lot riding on this one and maybe I'm putting too much pressure on it, but a lot riding on it for sort of Memphis's pride and OKC's sort of showing the league and the world how dominant they are. I think Memphis is going to be able to stand up for themselves to some degree, though. So I do like the idea that, at home they'll be able to run in transition. I still think that that's something that they need to try and do a little bit better. The fact that this team, who was a fast-paced team during the regular season, has scored 80 and 99 points, it speaks to the fact that the Thunder just have them wrapped around their finger. Do you know what I mean? But again, I think that there's a level of Memphis not being fully comfortable yet, and hopefully being at home they can do that, because I also don't mind the over. We've liked the over, I think, in both games so far in this series, and it hasn't really come close. Both teams good defenses, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that OKC's defense can't put, another stomping on Memphis and hold them to 99, or I don't know about 80, but less than 100 points. But at the same time, this Memphis team, who has been shooting a decent amount from the mid-range, Ja being one of those guys, they can score in that realm. And then in transition, I still expect them to be able to put up a respectable number. So to me, this one's an over, leaning towards Memphis, just too big of a number. If OKC smacks them, and I think the world, right now, if we look at the money, 81% of the bets are on OKC, 90% of the money on OKC. So clearly I'm going to be in the minority here liking Memphis, but I do think that this is at least one spot where they stand up and smack them in the mouth. And then if we take a peek at where the money is in terms of the total, 63% on the over. Again, if Memphis even competes in this one, this thing should be flying back and forth, because all it means is that Memphis is getting to their spots and making their shots, whether it's in the mid-range or, laying it in transition, right? I don't think Memphis' defense is necessarily going to stop OKC from doing what they have been doing. Are they going to allow 131 again like they did in game one? Probably not. But all this, me sort of backing Memphis, saying they'll stand up for themselves, I almost mean it offensively. Like, I don't know if they are going to be able to stop what is the Thunder, especially given the fact that they are one of the worst teams in terms of defending the point guard. You ever hear about the guy named Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the other side of things? I have. He's pretty damn good. So that's a little worrisome. I do think that, Williams and Holm can have good games today as well, just based on, what we've seen in the game so far and the matchups, even if you put this game in a vacuum, right? So yeah, give me Memphis and the over. In terms of player props, I think what comes with a Memphis kind of competing today is Ja Morant being able to 1, run in transition, and 2, score the rock. So I like his over 23.5 points. Yes, this OKC team is going to be absolutely tuned in on him and making sure that he doesn't kill them, but Ja Morant's home and away splits are pretty damn crazy, right? Like, even if we get these exact numbers. So in the last 10, so if we look at him just overall, 26.1 points per game. Still over this number, but remember at the end of the year, he crushed it. But on the road in his last 10, 24.8. Still, again, slightly over this number, but at home, 29.2. Now, if we want to look at this from, pretty much the entire season, right? On the road, 23 points per game. At home, 22 points per game. So you're like, what the heck? That's flipped. That's the whole season. If we just cut this into, I would say, post All-Star break, why don't we actually go last 20 games both on the road and at home, right? At home, 25 points per game, on the road, 23. So as the season progressed, Ja Morant got more and more comfortable at home. Shouldn't shock anybody. I think that he can go out there and give us 24 today. So yeah, Memphis, the over, and Ja. That's what I'm looking at in this game. We'll see. If OKC does just go into their house and take their lunch money again, that is a team that, as a Celtics fan, I'm sitting there going, and I don't want to get ahead of myself here, right? But I'm going, oh boy, that is a freaking squad, which we already know is true, but like squad, all bolded, capital letters, that type of thing. All right, Detroit taking on New York, a very good series so far. We have New York winning game 1. And honestly, the box score looks like they dominated. They did dominate at the end of that game, right? They ended up winning by 11 points. Detroit, now this game looks a little bit closer than it was, but Detroit wins pretty well in game number 2. Now they are back home with all the momentum on their side and still underdogs. This totals at 213.5. We know that the Knicks like to play slow. Detroit, you can make the argument that they can play both ways, whether it's fast or slow. I think we've seen so far in the series what we're going to get. Even that first game, if the Knicks don't start going off, I think that trend's a little bit under. So this could be more of a half-court game, which will impact our player prop that we like in this one in a little bit, right? But in terms of a side, this one is definitely the type of game in which, I'll be honest, you can make the argument for either one of the squads here. I think New York still is the more talented team, and they lost last game with, some of their guys. Karl-Anthony Towns had 10 points, right? You had Anunoby with 10. Mikal Bridges did step up with 19, so maybe he fills some of that Towns gap, but Jalen Brunson, 37. And let me make this clear. To Knicks fans out there, I'm sure there's a bunch watching this. I don't think you guys realize your path to success is not Jalen Brunson nearly going for 40 every game and that type of thing. Like, that is the Knicks fall short type of offense. This is a team that you should have Brunson, sure, go for 30, maybe go for 40. I'm not saying that hurts, but you can't make it all about Brunson. You're gonna need Towns to put in 25, 27, that type of thing. Like, the Knicks are better off with Towns scoring 25 and Brunson scoring 25, which is 50 points, than Brunson scoring 50 himself. I know the math is just the exact same, but I'm telling you guys, watching, and you guys, if you're a Knicks fan, you've probably watched plenty of Knicks basketball and you'd agree. Watching the Knicks when it's just Brunson, giving him the ball, letting him go to the line and all that, some of these other guys that really can help offensively get phased out, right? And I don't think that that's a good thing against a pretty hard-nosed defense like Detroit. So I think the Knicks bounce back in this one, even though they are in Detroit. Is it a tough place to play and that type of thing? Sure, but this Knicks team was 24-17 on the road this year. That's a pretty similar record to them at home, and it's not like Detroit was a world-beating, home team this year. They had a pretty similar record, so I don't know if the home court advantage is it is the playoffs, I give you that. I don't know if the home court advantage is going to make that big of a difference, and I just expect guys like Towns or Anunoby to have slightly better games, I guess, in a sense, and the fact that they almost came back and won that one, they went on like I forget what type of run, run, but towards the end of the game, it was like, oh, this thing's getting close. But again, the Pistons knew, okay, all we have to worry about is Brunson because the guy's not passing it or anything like that. If he can give you 30 and Towns can go out there and give you 25 or something, then sure. But I don't know. That offense gets one-dimensional, and I like Jalen Brunson, right? I dapped him up actually when he was at a Celtics game. I was sitting courtside, kind of, the courtside next to the basket, and he went to the tunnel right at the same time I went to the bathroom. There's a little rope, and I said, hey, what's up, man? Dapped him up, said, good game, and yeah, that was that. So he's my best friend, clearly. I'm not trying to rag on him. I'm just talking about this offense overall. So all that said, I think the Knicks bounce back. I do think that there's still a talent gap in terms of their team versus Detroit. In terms of the total, this is probably a slow-scoring game, but if we do see any sort of pace, it's going to blow this thing away, right? Like game one, the Knicks went on runs, and I think the series has been the series of runs compared to a lot of the other series out there. That type of thing can lead to over. So though I think it's going to be slow scoring, based on all the runs we've seen so far just through 2 games, I think I have to lean over 213, right? Even the last game, if Detroit didn't go scoreless during that New York, 10-0 run or whatever, we'd be looking at a game that is 10 points higher and almost at 210 or so. So to me, I'm going to lean over, but I definitely think New York is probably a spot that I'd consider. Now, on the Pistons side of things, a player prop that I'm liking, and I like what I've been seeing. He didn't really shoot the ball a crazy amount of time in the second game, decent amount in the first game, but I think Tobias Harris gets a lot of looks in this one, so it's going to be a little bit more of a quantity play. I like his over 14.5 points. Still trying to figure out if this does definitely make its way into being a final play, but Tobias Harris, if he's going to go out there and shoot the ball 11 times like he did in game number 1, he's hit this in 22 of his game number 2 and 13 in game number 3. Game number 2, he had shot the ball 11 times. Game number 1, he shot it 13 times. So I'm saying 11 plus, right? In fact, I think the numbers are still pretty good even if we go 10 plus. If he shoots the ball 10 plus times, which he loves to shoot the mid-range, right? And kind of get to the restricted area, 2 spots, which I think could be valuable to him. He's hit the over when he shot the ball 10 times in his last 30 games here, 73% of games. If we want to bump it back even more, 64% of the games on the season he's hit it in. And in terms of home and away, he's hit it in 69. That's 20 of 29 games when at home here over his season. So damn, Tobias Harris, as long as he has the quantity in the minutes, I think could be a good look for a player prop as well. All right, real quick, before we move on to the rest of the games, aka the last game of the night, I want to talk to you guys about Caesars. They have a really cool new customer offer going on right now. They have the bet $1 on a play, right? And you will double your winnings for your next 10 wagers. There is an up to $25 max bet per boost, but still very, very cool offering that they have. And what I've been finding during the playoffs is some of these plays we're rolling with have some serious value over on Caesar, especially some of their same game parlays. So if you like same game parlays and you haven't incorporated Caesar Sportsbook into your arsenal, go check it out today. That is a pretty damn unique and cool offer. And like I said, there is value on that site as well. So check it out, guys. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. I always do preach the more and more sports books and outlets that you do have, the better, because you can odd shop and get the best lines and that type of thing, right? Well, I'm finding a lot of value on Caesar, especially for some same game parlays. So go ahead and check it out, guys. And again, that's Caesar's, link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. All right, my favorite series in the playoffs, literally bar none. Like, this is by far and away the one that I'm watching and with the most, like, on the edge of my seat and whatnot. Clippers Nuggets. So the first game in this series was very, very close, right? Going to OT. Second game in the series, very, very close as well. It's been decided by 5 points total. First game, 2 points. Second game, 3 points. So really good series thus far. I think the Clippers at home here, -5. Is going to be what I end up leaning towards. If you're on the Denver side of things, I really don't want to talk you off of it, but I do think it's tough to make the total argument for them. This Clippers team already took one, in Denver, right? And I think that was a big, big win and a close one. But when this Clippers team is healthy, which we haven't seen a total amount of so far this year, this team is filthy. And we saw the numbers, right? When they flash these numbers up in both game 1 and game 2 to close out the year. This is the number 1 offensive rated team, number 1 defensive rated team, aka the number 1 net rate. This Clippers team is legit. Now, do they have, say they do get through Denver, let's play the hypothetical, right? Do they have what it takes to beat OKC or maybe someone else? I'm not totally sold on that. But in a series in which they have some of the, I guess, kryptonites that they could pull out against Denver, I don't think that it's all that bad of a look. Like, they can play down low and be strong with Denver, but they also have the perimeter defense, a very two-dimensional defense. You know what I mean? So to me, 5 points, yes, that's a lot, but I think that the fact that the Clippers took one as an underdog in Denver, and they might as well have taken the first, like, they could have easily won that first game if the Nuggets didn't come back and go on a run. You know what I mean? Like, if things just minorly went different, we're looking at Clippers up 2-0 and coming back to the Clippers home, or LA. So I think that they are good. My concern is, we know what could happen, right? Jokic could say, hey, let's go beast mode here and start putting up some crazy numbers. Not to say what he's done hasn't been crazy yet, but like, they do have the best guy in the series. But I would argue the Clippers may have, 3 of the next 4, that type of thing. Zubac is underrated too. Like, though the Denver Nuggets have Jokic, the Clippers may have like 4 of the next 5 after that, and I'm not trying to rag on Murray or Gordon or Porter, anything like that, but this is a very complete Clippers team, and I think that, Kawhi being healthy and all that is only going to help them, obviously, and James Harden's playing some really good point guard. Zubac is getting his, like, I don't know, scary team, man. The way that I would probably play this player prop wise, we'll get to the total in a second, is very similar to what we did in game number 2 here. We had 2 different same game parlays where we knock all these guys' lines down, but because they're going to be involved, right? Like, we know Zubac is going to be involved. We know Kawhi. We know James Harden. I do think that there's a Norm Powell game coming up. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and absolutely, like, go off, right? But I do think that at some point we're going to see a pretty good game out of him. So if we want to talk player props, I think that Norm Powell over 17.5 points could be a good look, but I think he's going to hit some timely threes. So over 2.5, which he has not done really at all this series, but he had in the 4 previous games against Denver. So we got to kind of make that, a point as well. And he's hit it, plenty at home this year. So I think that if he gets his looks, especially if we're now going to focus on Kawhi in the mid-range or prevent Zubac, could be a Norm Powell game. I think at one point in this series, he's going to have a few big shots, kind of on like a, hit like 3 threes in a row type of thing, and that would cash the over. So for plus money today too, so I do like that. In terms of a total, but anyways, like I said, player prop wise, we probably would same game parlay it again, other than Norm Powell, same game parlay it again, where, we get like Kawhi and Harden 15 plus each, Zubac 15 plus, and get some good odds behind it. Total wise, I think this is going to be an over game. We've seen 2, obviously, back and forth games, one being under this line, one being over this line. The OT one was the one that ended up going over this line, and they scored like 20 points in OT. So, yes, both games probably could have been, under in a sense, but Denver, though they aren't the fastest team, they hit the over in nearly 60% of their away games this year, and the half-court offense is not really working for them. Like I said, they did win game 1, but they had to take back game 1. Denver might decide to start trying to push the ball a little bit, because this half-court offense and defense seems to just be playing right into what the Clippers want to do, which is, hey, we got 4 guys that can give you a bucket, right? And James Harden facilitating really well, like, good luck trying to stop that in a sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards the over in this spot. I think Denver really does want to step things up and play with a little bit more pace. Does that help the Jokic, move and whatnot? Not necessarily, but he can play sneaky fast, aka a rebound in like a half-court outlet pass, and all of a sudden they're off and running. That can still happen. So yeah, give me the over as well as the Clippers in this one. And like I said, some same game parlay-esque player props. If we were to pick a standalone one, probably taking a peek at Powell. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.